At COP29, we wanted to make it common knowledge that the fossil fuel industry has hijacked global climate talks.
The petrostate of Azerbaijan is hosting this year's UN climate conference.
The fossil fuel industry spared no expense to try to capture the process.
Fossil fuel companies finance the actual conference.
We wanted to show COP29 was really rotten at its core.
Environmentalists say that being an oil country should disqualify it from hosting a conference focused on moving away from fossil fuels.
We wanted world leaders to see that, to acknowledge that, and to do something about it.
The COP Summit matters because it is a very graphic illustration of this power imbalance. You have on the one hand large polluting industries like oil and gas in the room, present and exercising influence where the decisions are made. On the other hand, you have outside the room environmental defenders, indigenous activists and others whose agendas do need to be heard and acted on but are not able to exercise that kind of influence.
But something else has been happening in the last few years too, and that's that the countries that have hosted the climate talks have really had a vested interest in keeping the world hooked on fossil fuels.
We're representing millions of people who are demanding that polluters be kicked out of the COP space.
Shortly before COP29 was hosted in Azerbaijan, we went undercover. We posed as an oil and gas investor who wanted to sponsor the COP, but that also wanted to do deals at the conference. And the COP29 team really rolled out the red carpet to us.
We got through surprisingly easily to the COP president, the person in charge, who's the Deputy Energy Minister in Azerbaijan, a guy called Elnur Sultanov. Elnur Sultanov was very obliging.
The team that we spoke to there touted investment opportunities in Azerbaijani gas, and we caught all of that on camera.
A senior Azerbaijani official overseeing this year's UN conference on tackling climate change has been recorded offering to facilitate discussions on potential fossil fuel deals.
It provoked a very strong reaction. It effectively wrote the story of COP29, or a good part of it, before the summit even began.
Western fake news media and so-called independent NGOs spreading disinformation and false information about our country.
For the last few years, we have investigated the number of fossil fuel lobbyists that show up at the climate talks. We've shown on which delegations they sit, why it's an issue that they're in the room.
We think they shouldn't be there, and we think they shouldn't have a voice in climate negotiations. Unfortunately, they do, and every single year the percentage of lobbyists has been increasing, so they have a bigger and bigger voice.
Look at this. Members of the fossil fuel industry who've attended COP climate talks over the last 20 years.
For COP29, we had around 52,000 delegates representing 22,000 organizations. So we manually go through every single row in the data released by UNFCCC to see whether the people there represent fossil fuel interests or not, as part of the Kick Big Polluters Out coalition.
But today we are saying polluters out, people in!
Obviously that's a lot of work, so what we've done is I've written a little script that will take each organization's name, we'll search Google for it, we'll extract the first, let's say, 10-15 search results. We'll get the text from each one of those search results. We'll feed it into an AI system, and we'll decide whether that organization is a fossil fuel lobbyist or not. That made it a little bit easier for the volunteer to go through the list.
We've been trying to build a case that the fossil fuel industry should be made to pay for the damage that it's inflicting on the world by, the increase in floods, in storms, in droughts. Normally, COP hosts will own the COP.com domain. That's happened for all the COPs up until this point. The Azerbaijani team had the COP.az domain. We had got hold of the COP29.com domain before they could. We spoke to farmers in the UK, farmers in the Philippines, and an indigenous community in Brazil, all of whom have paid massively because of the impacts of climate breakdown.
Acho que são as grandes empresas que têm, esses aí sim têm a maior parte da culpa também, né? Que esses deveriam pagar mais, né?
We worked with a number of really high-profile celebrities to really get the word out that fossil fuel companies should be made to pay. The BBC covered the Undercover story. They really went big on it. It was a top story on their site. It reached over 30 million people.
That then prompted a range of international climate leaders, including Christiana Figueres, Mary Robinson, Ban Ki-moon, to issue an open letter which indirectly cited both our Undercover investigation and the investigation into the fossil fuel lobbyists, and called for wide-ranging reform of the COP process. When I travelled to Baku, I was aware that it was possible that I simply wouldn't be allowed in. I was a person of interest. I was photographed several times by burly men with earpieces.
Mike, you have done a terrific job with your organization, Global Witness, in tracking the efforts of the fossil fuel companies to capture this COP process.
Aspects to my stay there were restricted in terms of where I would go, who I would see, but I did talk to a lot of people and was really struck from the moment I arrived by just what a big impact this undercover investigative story that it had. It really was the end of the line in terms of COP summits being hosted by autocratic petrostates.
People who aren't even in the climate world saw that story. It really cut through, and that's exactly the sort of work that we try to do at Global Witness. 2024 was the hottest year on record. Carbon emissions were higher last year than they've ever been before. So really we're entering a truly critical time in climate action, and it's never been more important to shine a spotlight on the role that the fossil fuel industry has played in hijacking climate policy and trying to undermine all of the good progress that's been made.